Hey everybody, welcome. If you are new to my channel, which you probably are because this is the third video, my name is Caitlin. I am a corporate marketing and communications professional who has had a job in corporate America for over 12 years now, maybe more. But I am also pursuing a lifelong passion of film and television acting. So I wanted to create this channel to kind of document my journey, what I'm learning, mistakes that I'm making, and I also wanted to create a space for people to feel inspired, whether you're pursuing acting or not. If you've had a dream that you've always wanted to go after, I just know that people that I watched on YouTube and other stories that I heard really motivated me and kind of gave me that extra bit of courage to take some of those first steps. So that's what I want this space to be. If you are in one of those categories, even if it's not necessarily for acting, I hope you stick around and I hope you chase your dreams too. So if you're anything like I was and you're interested in pursuing a career in acting as well, you probably are in this mode right now where you're kind of in that freeze, fight or flight, deer in headlights moment where you're just not really sure what the next step is. What is the first step that you take? You've mentally decided that you want to do this. Okay, now what? Good news is you're in good company there. I know a lot of people who felt that way, and I certainly did too. So if you don't have anyone to talk to about it, or if you're looking for that initial piece of inspiration, I hope I can be that for you. So today I'm really excited to talk about the first 5 things that I did to kick off my acting career. What I would like to do is break these up kind of in 2 categories. One of them is going to be a little bit more of a spiritual take on things, and the other one is going to be more of those kind of practical, tangible things that you can check off of a list. So really you're getting a top 10 first things that I did, because it's going to be more like a 1A, 1B, 2A, 2B kind of thing. But I wanted to break it up that way because I really resonate with those 2 mindsets. And I often find myself navigating my own life with those 2 kind of halves of one whole operating pretty harmoniously. So I wanted to make sure I accounted for both of them because they were both very impactful in my own life. One of the first things that I would empower you to do is celebrate the fact that you have even started this. This was a dream that you have had for a while, and it was probably something that used to scare you, intimidate you, and you have decided to leave that mentality behind, toss those limiting beliefs out the door, and you have decided to take action on something that your heart is telling you to do. So that is cool. That is incredible. Take a moment to celebrate that because not a lot of people get to that point. It's a hard point to mentally and emotionally get to, and so the fact that you have arrived here is amazing. And it's totally up to you how much of it you want to share with friends or family. I know at the beginning, I kind of pivoted in between 2 camps. I was like, oh, I sort of want to keep this to myself just because it just feels very vulnerable and sensitive. And then I switched and I was like, nope, I want to shout this from the rooftops because part of my journey involved overcoming that fear of embarrassment, fear of rejection. So I shared it with friends and family, and that is a completely personal choice. I know for some, friends and family can be a very painful source for people. They can give very negative feedback, kind of suck the magic out of your life. So everybody has their unique circumstances. Maybe you're also worried about your employer taking an issue with it, although I would encourage you to look for a new job if your employer is poo-pooing on you following your dreams, but that's just me. So yeah, everyone has their own circumstances, but I will share just here in a few seconds how me being open and excited about the fact that I was pursuing this passion ended up leading me to a really incredible connection and kind of got me started on the path that I'm on now. So celebrate your success in the fact that you have started. And then I would encourage you to also start reaching out to people in the industry, start making those initial connections, asking for advice. It might be harder to reach out to people who you don't know at all, who are complete strangers. But that is likely if you just don't know a single person in the industry. I had a couple of friends or acquaintances or people that I had met at like social gatherings in the past. So I reached out to a couple of them and they were super helpful, very responsive. So thank you, you know who you are. But one of my most pivotal connections that I made was actually at my friend's graduation party. I was talking with someone who I used to work with at Disney a few years ago, and I was openly sharing with her my excitement about this new journey that I was on with acting, and we ended up talking, and she told me about someone who was on her team who was working seasonally at Disney, and then also working full-time as an actress. And she gave me her name and her Instagram handle. And so I reached out to her as soon as I got home. She responded right away. And she was actually the one who recommended to me the first acting class that I got enrolled in. And I mean, it changed my life, and it changed the course of all of this for me. So that was the result of being open and sharing confidently and excitedly about it. So just food for thought as you're thinking about how much you want to keep close to your chest, but that is a personal decision for sure. Second thing that I did was I really started to tune into my intuition. My intuition is the thing that led me to pursuing my dreams in the first place. I always envisioned that little voice in my head, and I talk about this in, I think it was the second video I did, where I talked about why I started to pursue acting, and I mentioned having that kind of calling, that inner voice. I know some might find that cheesy. Maybe you already clicked off this video after hearing that, but it is my truth, and I really, truly felt like it was coming from within, the reasoning why I wanted to pursue this. So the only reason why I was able to listen to that voice was because I started to quiet down my life, started to tune in to my own intuition, what my heart and soul was telling me. And I did that through meditation, morning walks. Maybe I'll make a whole separate video about that, but just the point is, get introspective. Take a minute to really reflect on yourself, where you're at in your life, and see what comes forward for you. And then the second kind of more practical checklist item that I did was I booked an acting class. So I mentioned in the first step that I got a recommendation for an acting class. I ended up looking that acting class up on Instagram, saw that a girl who I went to college with she was in a picture in one of like the class photos. I messaged her and she had incredible things to say about it. Again, all those little domino effects kind of coming into play. I booked the acting class. I am now on week 6 of the acting class, and I keep saying this, but there's just so much that I want to share. I'll probably do a separate video about just the importance of an acting class. But I would say jump right into one. Do a little bit of research. Of course, you don't want to jump at the first one that you see being advertised somewhere, but do research. See if you can ask around. Again, people in the industry, if you're talking with them, they will probably have recommendations. They will probably have been a part of an acting class at some point, and you can get a good gauge about what you might experience just by talking with them. One thing I will say, and this was a really valuable piece of advice that I was given, is don't become a professional student. We want to be soaking in information, we want to be learning, but I know for me personally, I was just so excited to get started and learn as much as possible in the shortest amount of time that I started to consider taking multiple acting classes. And someone in the industry gave me really, really valuable advice and just told me, do not become a professional student. You want to be able to dedicate your whole attention, your whole heart and soul to this one experience, because it is designed to be a focus in your life. So you don't want to be doing 3 and 4 different things at the same time, because you're going to reach burnout. You're not going to be able to focus in the way that you need to, and you're likely going to be learning very similar things in these different acting classes. So pick one that really resonates with you, stick with that, and really, really get the most out of that experience. The third thing that I did was I really leaned into the nerves, because there were a lot of them at the beginning, and there still are, because each new day brings a new experience. But I was nervous. I had the stomach bubbles. I had the sweaty neck and back. I was definitely in a very particular state. My nervous system was a little out of whack at the beginning, but that's normal. Please know that that is just a part of the process, and that just means you're really passionate about it because you want things to go well. You want to do well. You care. If you didn't care, you wouldn't be nervous, and it's a beautiful thing to experience that emotion. Just don't let it take a chokehold on you and keep you from taking those steps. Embrace the nerves and keep moving forward. Then I would encourage you to start thinking about the roles that you would be interested in playing. If you're like me and you are interested in film and television, what roles inspire you? What actors and actresses do you gravitate towards when you're watching movies and TV shows and short films? What resonates with you? What genres inspire you? Start thinking about that, and then also do a fun little activity where you ask your friends and family what they could see you playing. I know that was something that we did in one of the classes at my acting studio, is we all went around the room and just kind of described who we could see that person, what their essence brought forward, and what roles that they could see us playing. And I would encourage you to do the same. Even if you don't necessarily do that in whatever acting class you're in, ask your friends, ask the people that know you the best, the people that lift you up and inspire you, your closest friends and family, ask them. And then you also write down the ones that you could see yourself playing and see how those two differ. Number 4 on my list was that I accepted the fact that no matter how excited or confident I was, that the self-doubt voice, the one that's always in there, it was always going to be there in some capacity. I would literally be sitting in bed on the couch, going on my walk, and all of a sudden I would get this, I could almost feel it like lightning shooting down my spine and getting all tangled in my stomach. It would be this feeling of, oh my gosh, what if somebody thinks I'm cringe? Especially when I started a YouTube channel. Like, please, I know there are people watching this right now that they're like hoping I fail, and that's okay. That's okay, because they can feel that way. They're entitled to their own opinion. So just know that you're gonna have that little voice. You're gonna have that like, what are you doing? Why would you even start this? You're about to be overwhelmed. You can't handle this. Like, that voice is unfortunately always going to be there. But I think the more you grow in your confidence and the more you become inspired in your own craft, that voice is going to get quieter and quieter and quieter until it's more of a low hum in the background and you're mostly ignoring it. The other thing that I would recommend is booking a headshot session. This is another really great benefit of taking an acting class, as they will often have recommendations for you on local headshot photographers in your area. Yes, you could go to a regular photographer, but it really is beneficial if you have someone who is used to working with people in this industry, because they know what the trends are right now. They know what they're looking for. I have a background in wedding photography. So at first I was like, oh, I'll take my own headshot. And then I was like, no, I want to get the full experience. I want to make sure that I'm working with someone who is specifically focused on this area of photography. And I actually got my headshot photographer as a recommendation from the teacher in my acting class. She gave us a whole list of ones that she felt were very reputable and produced a great product. And I got my headshots, I want to say, a week and a half after I started class. And it was, oh my gosh, it was such a fun day. Your headshots are going to be the face of your brand. Essentially, you are now your own brand, and you are marketing yourself to casting directors, talent agencies, people that would want to work with you on films, commercials, whatever the case may be. Your headshot is going to be that window into what you're bringing to the table. So that's why in the previous step, I said, start to think about some of the roles that resonate with you, or some roles that you would really feel inspired to play, because you're going to want to bring some of that information to your headshot photographer so you can tell them what you're trying to emulate, what energy you're trying to give off. I know for me personally, I definitely wanted to have a photo that was more of that kind of edgy, strong female lead in like a Marvel movie, a Hunger Games type vibe. And she nailed it. I don't know, I'm not super savvy in my video editing software yet, but maybe I'll throw a photo up here. I see YouTubers do that all the time. Right up here. So we'll see if that works. And if not, I don't know. I'll link my website in the description below, because you can see all my headshots there. Little change of scenery. It was actually the next day, and that is because when I was editing this video, I realized that my microphone's battery died, so we lost a little bit of audio, but that's okay. It's a beautiful day outside. The light is very nice in here. So I'm gonna cover the last 2 things that I wanted to talk about. And the first one is just keep taking steps forward. Keep that one foot in front of the other mentality, because you will have doubts. I mean, we talked earlier about the self-critic. Sometimes it won't be the self-critic, it'll be external critics sometimes in your family and friend circle. And it may not be coming from a bad place. It may just be because they don't understand this industry either, or they're nervous about someone that they care about branching out and trying something new that's unpredictable and that they don't know much about. So just give them grace, give the people in your life some patience, and have patience with yourself too. Embrace the nerves like we had talked about, and just keep that forward movement. You will thank yourself later for it. And then the last thing is start your acting resume. And don't worry about having a laundry list of experience to put on it. If you do have experience, that's great. And of course, include that. But I know for myself personally, I had none. I didn't have a performing arts degree. I didn't go to a performing arts school. I was in communications and marketing, like I mentioned, and I had no previous theater experience. So I started with nothing in the way of actual tangible experience on set. But what I did have was the list of the classes and workshops that I was involved in, because you do want to showcase that you're taking your career seriously, that you're not just kind of dabbling and having fun on the weekends with your friends, shooting a couple videos. And if you do want to do that, that's completely fine, but you probably won't have to take some of these other steps, like creating your resume, like getting your headshots, if you're not really trying to take it to that next level. So just be honest with yourself and try to determine kind of which camp you fall into. And if you're like me and you do want to take it a little bit more seriously and hopefully turn it into a paying career that can fund your life, then you want talent agencies, casting directors to know that you are taking it seriously. And a way to do that is to list the education that you're pursuing. You can also include skills that you have that might be relevant to roles that you'll be involved in. Everything from like having your driver's license, being able to swim, doing casual running, like all of that can be included. You just have to get started. The hardest part is always the first step. So just take it, jump into it. Your resume can be a part of that, and that will grow over time. I promise you. That's it. That was my first 5, well, I guess 10 steps that I took to begin my acting career. I hope you found some of them helpful. If there are other things that you have questions about, please let me know. You can leave them in the comments or find me on social media. I would love to hear what other things that you'd be interested in learning about or having me talk about. And I, of course, will continue to share as I am learning and growing on this path as well. But I am rooting for you. I know you're going to do amazing things, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Bye.